Speaking of the postseason, it's the NFL playoffs coming up this weekend, especially. We kick things off on Saturday afternoon, the first 1 o'clock games. So we're going to talk about some good NFL playoff matchups. And real quick, at first when the 7-team in each conference playoff scenario came out, I almost didn't like it, but I now that I'm looking at the matchups, this is great. These matchups are excellent. You have the number 1 seed means so much more now because it's the one team that gets a bye. And if you look at the AFC, I think the biggest matchup that I'm excited to see is the Titans and the Ravens. Okay, these two teams met last season in the playoffs. Ravens with the number 1 seed. Titans went into Baltimore, beat the Ravens, shocked everybody a little bit after beating the Pats. They beat the Ravens, and they obviously lost to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. But I think this is an interesting matchup. The Ravens didn't have a great beginning, and actually more middle of the season. Then once they kind of got through their COVID issues, they started to play a lot better. And the Ravens have finished well at the end of the year. And they're one of those teams where if they score first, they're in the driver's seat. And that's just how they play because of their run-heavy offense. But also, Lamar Jackson's passing game has been much better over the last few weeks. You see him finding Marquise Brown. You see him finding Mark Andrews. And I think this Ravens team could make some noise. Now that they're sort of a road wildcard team, I think it's going to be very interesting. Meanwhile, with the Titans, they just seem to be able to kind of come back from any type of deficit. They had that crazy win last week where Tannehill finds A.J. Brown streaking up the seam for a huge gain to kick the game-winning field goal. And they've had some crazy games this year where they've been able to come back and win against all different kinds of teams. So I think this is going to be a very interesting matchup this weekend.
Yeah, no, I think, like you said, if you look at this bracket, it's really an exciting one with the matchups across the board. And like you said, that number 1 seed really means a lot now with being only one team to get a bye in that first round. And it's big, you've got those 2 teams sitting home and getting rest and waiting for the team next week. And they also have home field advantage, which that's also huge as well, especially when it comes to playoff time. I know it's a little different now in COVID because you don't have the fans, but I'm still thinking of the travel of still having to play in a different stadium and having to get on the bus and go through the hotel and all those protocols that you do when you travel in any kind of sport, whether it be professional or amateur. But there are some really great matchups that I'm looking forward to. On the NFC side, I'm looking forward to seeing this Tampa Bay Buccaneers squad versus the Washington Redskins. Washington Redskins are going to be led by Alex Smith, and they're a totally different team when Alex Smith is playing. They're 5-1 when he's playing, so they really come to play. Having a veteran quarterback does make a difference in any league, especially the NFL. And then playing against a team right now that's piecing it together like you said, the Ravens is Tampa Bay, and they're really starting to come together now. I know Mike Evans unfortunately had that injury, and they're saying that he might play this weekend, but he might not. But, I mean, we've talked about in the past how many weapons are on that Tampa Bay offense, whether it be Leonard Fournette, Rob Gronkowski, Antonio Brown, or Godwin. So Tom Brady still has plenty of weapons. I think there was a funny thing of that matchup where the young defensive end of Chase Young saying, I want Tom Brady and I want to play Tom Brady. Well, he's going to get exactly what he wants, and he's going to get a chance to play that Tom Brady squad. My prediction is, honestly, that the Tampa Bay Bucs will beat the Washington Redskins in that matchup. But another good matchup to look at is on the AFC side, and that's with the Buffalo Bills versus the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts, I think, are one of those teams. They kind of snuck into the playoffs, and they're maybe a little bit under the radar. But look for this Buffalo Bills team to come out and put a beat down on them, to be honest. I think they're looking to make a statement, kind of like they did against the Patriots in the final week of the preseason, to say, hey, we're a strong team here in the AFC, and we're going to look to get back to a Super Bowl and maybe potentially write the Super Bowl history of the Buffalo Bills. We all know that history, just a losing one. So if they can even win a couple of games and make some noise here, I think it would be great for the city of Buffalo and for the NFL, to be honest. I've kind of enjoyed watching the combination of Allen to Stephon Diggs, and they've just got some great players across the board. But another great game that I'm looking forward to is that Tennessee game with the Ravens, and I think that'll be another good one. Like I said, as far as picks, though, I'm taking Buffalo. I'm taking the Ravens. If the Ravens can stop Derrick Henry, that beast of a running back, rush for over 2,000 yards this season, if they can manage to keep him in check and force Ryan Tannehill to have to manage the game, I think the Ravens will be fine, and I think they'll be looking to win.
Yeah, I think the whole weekend is going to be a lot of fun to watch. These matchups, actually, as crazy as this NFL season was, and as bad as the NFC East was during the regular season, I think the playoff matchups are going to be excellent. This should be a very fun postseason for the NFL.